This is a short review of the Jet9 Carbon 29er mountain bike, which you can see here. So this is the 2016 frame version. I think it's exactly the same as the 2015 and 17, just different colors, maybe some small other changes in details. Here you can see this is the Jet9 Carbon version. So there are three versions. There is the Aluminium Frame, the Carbon and the RDO. The RDO meaning race day only or race day optimized, not quite sure. So the Carbon version has a carbon main frame and aluminium rear triangle and aluminium whatever this part is, and in the RDO these two will also be carbon. So I bought this frame new in 2017. It was a from a Spanish online shop or a bike shop. They had a good price on it. It was the last year's model and I paid about half what a new frame would cost. But again, buying a frame only is always an expensive version. I wanted this color, basically that's why I got this one. I really like the look of it all. And then I built it up with used parts and trying to sort of manage to match the colors as good as possible. So I got the Mavic Crossmax wheels, which are light and work fine. They sort of have this yellow, even though the yellow is not the same as the 9er yellow here, but at the first glance it doesn't matter. If you look at it in detail, it's not that great. Yellow saddle there, yellow Ritchie grips, and then the fork is actually not a Fox factory. I bought these stickers specifically online to match the color. It is a Fox 32, but it's not a high-end factory version, which would have come with a Kashima coating. So I have a 130mm fork, which is quite a lot for the 100mm rear end, but for me it's okay. I was on a budget and I was looking for 100 to 120mm fork, and I ended up with this one, which I got cheaply, so that's good. And then the Shimano X0 2x10 drivetrain, which works fine. Could be upgraded to 11x1 or 12x1 if I wanted to anytime. Now I didn't really like the shock at the beginning because I was used to a lockout and I wanted to modify it for lockout, and it took me a time to get used to the platform damping system it's running. So even though it says, basically I didn't understand how it works. It has a symbol for lock and unlock. By the way, I think it's not shipped with this. The newer versions are shipped with a Fox shock. I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, it has a lock and unlock position here, but at the beginning I didn't really feel any difference. It was kind of the same until I understood what it actually does. That in the lock position, the threshold, there's a threshold set, and for small bumps it will actually lock, and it works very well. And it's different to a lockout, which feels really hard also on big bumps, because it doesn't lock out on big bumps. It only locks out on the small ones. For example, uphill, the movement of your body, and so that will lock that out completely. But as soon as you go for route or stair or whatever, it will open up. And I hardly ever change this. I typically have it in this locked position if it's a lot of up and down, and if I go uphill and then there's a real mode change to downhill section, for a long downhill section, then I will change it. I don't have a dropper post, which I do regret, but again it was a budget thing at the time. This thing cost me 20 euros used, which was great to get started, and I'm still running it. But at some point I will get the dropper post. Now, before this bike I was running, so I switched back to the wide angle because it just looks better. I was a bit too close there. Before this bike I was running a Scott Spark 26-inch marathon full suspension bike, which was quite different from this. The position was a lot more aggressive. I had a lot more standover from the saddle to the bar, but with the 29er wheels and 130mm cranks, I have hardly any standover here on this bike, even though I have super long legs. So I have a saddle height of 86 centimeters above the bottom bracket. My height is 183, and this is an L frame, and I have this 400mm saddle at the maximum out position, and it just works fine. I don't like bigger frames because they get too long for me. I have long legs and a short upper body. So the step from the Scott 26-inch full suspension bike to this was huge. I mean, the big wheels, obviously I don't need to talk about that, make such a big difference. I just roll over everything with so much ease and confidence. It's a huge difference. So I ride this kind of as a trail bike. I will hit it quite hard. I don't really race it, and I'm not the best descender, and for me this is a superb overall package. I love the bike, how it feels. I'm not the guy who wants to have like a 140-150mm trail or enduro bike and really hit the downhills. I do like to go downhill fast, but reasonably fast. I'm not that good at it. I do a lot of road racing, and I'm like the climbing part, but I also like the nature and the downhill part. So this bike feels light and agile, and also goes down everything that my buddies do basically. And so overall I can really recommend it. I know that Niner has changed the setup of their line a bit, so now the Niner is the Jet moved up a bit from 100mm to 120 rear travel, and they replaced the Marathon version with a different one. I can't really know, RCL or RR, I don't know, something different, which I think comes at less than 100mm rear travel. Anyway, I still really love the colors of this bike. That was one of the main reasons why I got it. And my brother had the same one in a green, and I test rode it, and it really fit me very well, and I liked it a lot. So then I saw these colors and I knew, okay, this bike fits me, and I need to have this red yellow version. It really rocks. So if you are thinking of getting any Niner bike, actually they're all pretty damn good. I can highly recommend them. I can really recommend this if you see one used. It looks great, it looks flashy. One thing might be worth adding is that the paint is damaged quite easily. Just a moment. So here I have quite a reasonable scuff. This comes just from leaning it onto a post or something, and it tends to big pieces of the paint just come off. There are one or two other locations where this has happened, but none as prominent as this one. Okay, yeah, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's just part of it, part of riding a mountain bike. So I can live with it, and it has a protective foil on here, on the whole down tube here. Here are some infos about the frame, the suspension, the shock type, dimensions, travel. Let me see if I can focus on this. Yeah, sag settings, what kind of direct mount front derailleur is needed, rear spacing 142, seat clamp 131.6, bottom bracket PF30. I use a Praxis Works bottom bracket, a screw-in version, works perfectly. Never had any issues. Here there's some more sort of paint damage, I guess. This is from the chain, and as you can see, it doesn't just scratch the paint, but whole chunks of paint come off. So that's not perfect, but well, I wanted this flashy bike, so I guess I'll have to live with that. So please hit the thumbs up and go riding.